looks like a river behind me, but what you're seeing here is actually part of that side road and one family's front yard. That's their house over there. Police say it all started in that house when two men got into a fight. Then one of them opened fire. If you've got flood damage and you call this number that they have set up, 829-6200, that call will go straight into here. Crews are working just like they are now to widen the road when someone hit a gas line. Some people say they thought they heard a transformer blow down there behind me, but as you can see, there are all of these down trees with this thick ice buildup on it, making them so you can easily just snap them off like that. And engineers worry the legs of the bridge won't hold a crowd, so the first option that they're considering is to leave it just like this, closed. It's been 16 hours and the crime scene tape still stretches around this place because the sheriff says they're not done here yet. When you call 911, it comes here straight to this building and into the basement where the 911 center is. But because of this, 911 can actually call you in an emergency. The fire chief says a candle is what caused all of this fire damage. But this is not even the worst of it. The worst part is in the back of the building where a woman and her children were living.
I have a 7- and 9-year-old and I don't know where we're going. And then it's all just ripped from us in an instant, in a second.
That's the second, just before 3 this morning, when Megan Long woke up to a neighbor's knock on the door and fire burning in the apartment overhead.
And it burned and it engulfed the roof and went into the rafters. And once it went there, I knew that we all lost everything that we had besides our lives.
She says she left with just the clothes and blankets she has on. Her kids safe with family, an older disabled couple, and one other also safe.
That's the number one thing, is everybody's safe.
But that knock on the door was the only reason, the only warning they got to make it out safe. There were no smoke alarms in there.
Not that I'm aware of.
The fire chief says there's no city ordinance or even a state law that requires homeowners to have smoke alarms. And he says this was a place that needed one because even firefighters had a hard time keeping the fire from spreading.
It used to be a large single dwelling house, and because of the way it was switched over to the apartment building, a lot of hidden compartments, a lot of hidden spaces to try and get to.
It took 4 fire departments and several hours to get it out. But now it's the families who survived having a hard time.
We don't have no home or nothing.
The owners are planning to tear the building down while the people who live here try to find a new place to live. In Humansville, Sheena Elzy, KSPR News. Patients who come here are mad because of what's in this. That security breach notice that says patients' names, addresses, social security numbers, even medical records are at risk because of a cyber attack.
I'm going to sue them. I'm definitely suing them.
Raymond Barkham is ready to go to court because he says it was his family's personal information that hackers took from Burrell Behavioral Health.
It concerns me mostly that all of my family is basically hurt for life.
He says his son was coming here for autism treatments, but because his son's a minor, Burrell had his and his wife's information too. And now he's concerned someone else is using it.
There is stuff on me and my wife's credit report that's showing stuff that's in other states.
But in that online security notice, Burrell states there's no evidence that anyone actually got away with the protected health information. But they say they could not rule that out. They say someone hacked a worker's email account in July. It included social security numbers, disability codes, and medical treatments. There was no mention in Burrell's notice of how many people were affected, but according to the Department of Health and Human Services, close to 8,000 people are at risk.
It's huge.
The Better Business Bureau now warning people to take action to protect your information before it gets into the wrong hands.
Your own personal stuff, keep in one set file and password, encrypt that password to protect that as best you can.
But Raymond Barkham says he's taking it one step further.
I might have to go to Kansas City, St. Louis. I might have to go somewhere totally else because I can't trust anybody anymore.
We have reached out to Burrell, and so far they've refused to talk about the breach on camera. But in the same online notice, the CEO says he apologizes for the inconvenience. In Springfield, Sheena Elzy, KSPR News.
A person can come in your store
The clothes Edgar Hagens now sells
and pick up this whole stack.
Is a constant reminder
I have done that and ran out the door.
Of his life of crime and addiction.
I was a shoplifter, and that's what I did to support my habit.
He says that started when he was 16.
The first time that I tried it, it was just a feeling that I can't explain. You know, and from that point on, it was just ongoing.
For the next 30 years, he'd be addicted to heroin. He says he was in and out of jail, homeless, shot 4 times.
The bullet, I think it hit here, and it came out here.
Then seen family die around him.
There's another cousin that passed in 2010 from a heroin overdose.
And missed his own children growing up.
Yes.
All because of heroin. But it took something else, some clothes, before he'd realized what he lost.
I stole a jacket that was $63.
He says he was locked up for 7 years and was sentenced to a drug treatment center for the crime.
And at that point, that's when I said, this is enough.
He says he got out, got clean, and opened up his shop. But even after 17 years off drugs, he still calls himself a recovering addict.
When times get rough and business is slow and my bills are due, a thought will come to mind, well, just maybe you might be able to sell some dope and get out of the hole. And, you know, but today I know that that's not the answer.
He says he turns to support groups for help. And with Springfield's growing heroin epidemic, he's passing out flyers to start one, a group where he says addicts can recover.
It took a power greater than me to turn me around.